Hey everybody, welcome to the morning reading through the Quran. This is going to be a part 2 of the third surah called the House of IMRAM. So I kind of made a mistake on my little note on the comment corner. Sorry about that. I said the second surah. It's actually the third. And this is called the House of IMRAM, as I said, part 2. I'm going to start in verse 52. And so we'll take it from there. So hope we get some things out of this and understand a little bit about what's being said. So let's get into it. I'm going to start at verse 50 actually. So let me correct that. I'm going to start at verse 50. Just so I have a reference point for you guys. Okay, so this is it. This is Beau reading the Quran. And if you've never read the Quran, hey, welcome. Glad you're in here to read it. Sometimes we never get to kind of reading the source material of a particular worldview or religion, the way people live, however you want to put it. But a lot of times we just don't read the actual source. We talk about it a lot. A lot of times I grew up very atheistic, not around the Bible at all, but I criticized the Bible all the time. And, and I never read it. It wasn't until I actually read it that I was blown away by it. Well, a lot of people hear a lot about Islam and they never have read the Quran at all. So I want to just take people through it, just read it, and as I read it too, and kind of see what it says. I haven't read the Quran in a while, so it's kind of a nice refresher, if you will, of what's in it. It is an interesting read for sure. But there are some similarities if you're familiar with studying other pseudo-Christian Jewish religions. There's this idea of what was I going to say? Abrogation. Sorry about that. But abrogation, the idea that this revelation of the Prophet Muhammad supersedes everything before. It's kind of saying that everything before was corrupted, so this is now the new kind of supreme revelation. Now, if you study pseudo-Christian and kind of cult groups that are offshoots of Christianity or Judaism, you'll see that this is very kind of the normal. This isn't something odd. So when you read the Quran, it kind of goes in that direction, that there is a superseding revelation, there is a correcting of things that have been corrupted, and then there's kind of a mishmash of what is actually kind of a retelling, if you will, of events that are in the original sources. So in this case, the original sources would be the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament, with the Gospels as well included in that. And now we're in this retelling of it according to Allah, the God of Islam, who is correcting everything that is false. So that's the idea. So it says, and confirming what was before me of the Torah and making lawful some of what was forbidden to you, I come to you with a sign from your Lord. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me. It's interesting that in the third surah, there is always this idea of the confirmation of the Torah and the Gospels, that it is confirmed by Allah, but yet it is being corrected as well. So there's a real interesting dilemma that goes on in the third surah. If Allah created and confirmed the Torah and the Gospels, then was it already corrupted at the beginning by Allah, or or how does this work? It seems like there's a real contradiction going on in the third surah that we're trying to figure out. So there is a confirming of the Torah. That's the first 5 books of the Bible. Indeed, Allah is my Lord and your Lord, so worship him. That is the straight path. But when Jesus became aware of their disbelief, he cried out, "Who will be my helpers for the sake of Allah?" The disciples said, "We will be the helpers of Allah. We believe in Allah and bear witness to you that we have become Muslims." So really interesting, right? Kind of a retelling of the Gospels. Of course, if you've never read Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, you might, and you just read this, which was some 700 years later, you could think that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were Muslims. That's what you would get from this. It's a really interesting viewpoint for sure, but it's one that is declared here in the Quran. And then it says, "Our Lord, we believe in what you have revealed, and we follow him whom you have sent. Count us among those who bear witness." And they schemed, and Allah schemed, and Allah is the best of schemers. So that's an interesting statement, right? They schemed, Allah schemed, and Allah is the best of schemers, right? Kind of a interesting idea. And when Allah said, "O Jesus, indeed I am gathering you and causing you to ascend to me. I am cleansing you of those who disbelieve, and I am setting those who follow you above those who disbelieve until the day of resurrection. Then you will return to me, and I will judge between you regarding those things you used to disagree about." So again, very common for different groups that come after Christianity to have a different Jesus that's on display, that's being recreated. This happens early on in the Gnostic Gospels, right? Writings after the time of Christianity was penned, and then there becomes these fabrications of Jesus. And you see it even unto our day, even into the 1800s in the United States, when two groups formed, the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses, that do this as well, do kind of a recreating of Jesus, a retelling. The old was corrupted, we need to retell the new according to our prophet or our leader, that kind of thing. So Islam is around 700 after the death of Christ. "As for those who disbelieve, I will punish them with a heavy punishment in this world and hereafter, and they will have no helpers. And as for those who believe and do good works, he will pay them for their wages in full. Allah does not love the wrongdoers." We always get a lot of heavy judgment of those that are wrongdoers that are not going to obey the new revelation and the new prophet. That usually comes kind of with these groups that tout another revelation, a new revelation, one that's higher than the Messiah. Jesus is the Messiah, right? Emmanuel, God with us, the one that was prophesied about all throughout the scriptures, from page 3 of the book of Genesis on, right? It's foreshadowed in the Abraham-Isaac relationship, foreshadowed in the Exodus, the great deliverer, the Passover lamb, etc., etc., all the sacrifices in Leviticus, all this stuff like that. And, but there's always this superseding even of the Messiah's messages. So Allah does not love wrongdoers. By the way, I have to make a correction. I was looking at my notes. I said in yesterday's reading that I said 25% is dedicated to the unbelievers, but it's actually in the Quran, it's 60% plus, meaning 60% plus of the total Quran is dedicated to unbelievers, to kind of what punishment they're going to go through. That's a lot, 60-something%. This is what we are reciting to you is a revelation and a wise reminder. Indeed, the likeness of Jesus with Allah is as the likeness of Adam. He created him from the dust, and he said to him, "Be," and he is. The truth from our Lord, do not be among those who waver. Now, we've already had in our first reading of this third surah the idea that Mary was going to have a special child without having any intimacy with a man. And so there seems to be a confirmation of that story, but then there seems to be a backtracking of it just a little later on in the Sura that talks about this idea of the likeness of Jesus with Allah is at the likeness of Adam. He created him from the dust. So is Jesus created from the dust, or is he really created from, a special birth that Mary did know no man, that it was born of the Holy Spirit? So you get a lot of confusion because there's just not a real good breakdown of what's being talked about. And whoever disagrees with you concerning him after the knowledge which has come to you, say, come. We will call our sons and your sons, and our women and your women, and ourselves and yourselves, and we will pray humbly and invoke the curse of Allah upon those who lie. Again, another kind of idea that there's people that lie, they've corrupted everything, and that we have the truth, that it really comes from Allah. Everybody else is a liar. Indeed, this is really the true narrative. There is no God except Allah, and indeed Allah, He indeed is the mighty, the wise. And so this is the true narrative. Allah is God, that's it. He is the Almighty, and that's all you got, and kind of thing. And if they turn away, then indeed Allah is aware of their corrupters. So everybody who does not agree in Allah is a corrupter. Say, O people of the book, let us come to a common word between you and us and you, that we will worship no one but Allah, and that we will ascribe no partner to him, and that none of us will take others for lords besides Allah. And if they turn away, they say, bear witness that we are the ones who are Muslims. Okay, so it seems like the idea is that Muhammad Islam struggles with the idea of Jesus being Lord, that there is no one to worship but Allah, which poses a problem because in the Bible, the Hebrew Bible and in the New Testament, there is this incredible idea all the way back in the book of Genesis that God not only is outside of time, matter, and space, but he is everywhere in spirit, in time, matter, and space, and he can be in the garden in the cool of the day with Adam, all at the same time. He can have a body on the planet. He can be outside of time, matter, and space to which he created, and he can also be everywhere within it, spirit. And so this is the first 3 pages of the Bible that I'm talking about. I'm not even going to go into the rest of it. That all speaks of this incredible deliverer called the Messiah, who would be on the planet, and that God would literally go on the planet and judge the world and be the one that would redeem the world, all from the planet, all from being on the planet. Unbelievable. That's the radical truth of the Hebrew scriptures that are so mind-boggling, is that God doesn't just remain distant, but God draws near. This is something that obviously Muhammad and the followers struggled with. And so they declare this strong statement, right, that we will worship no one but Allah, and that we will ascribe no partner to him, and that none of us will take other lords besides Allah. I take this is speaking to the idea of the Messiah. And if they turn away, they say, bear witness that we are the ones who are Muslims. Okay, so they're making a distinction. Okay. So I'm not going to get into all the issues with that, but you can see the big problems with that is that we have a God in the Torah that is much different than just this statement that is said in the 3rd Surah. God is one. That is a declaration of the Torah. But the question is one of what? One of what kind? Where Islam doesn't go there. It just says one of one, like one-dimensional. Like one dimension. There's 1, 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions, things like that. There's just one dimension, it's just flat. That's it, kind of idea where the God of the Hebrew scriptures is one in a very special way, a very unique way. And out of his being of oneness, this unique being of one creates a compound unity in his creation, male, female, and they become one flesh. There is a compound unity that is emphasized in the scriptures in the creation of man, woman, and family. And this stems from it's an image-bearing work of God. That is an image of God. God is like this. This is to bear an image. It's an image bearing the marital relationship, man, woman, oneness, unity, diversity coming together, becoming one. So anyway, I'm not going to get into all that, but you can see that we have a problem here. What is it? we definitely have a split. So, O people of the book, why will you argue about Abraham when the Torah and the gospel were not revealed until after him? Have you then no sense? Indeed, you are those who argue over matters of which you have some knowledge. Then why do you argue over a matter which you have no knowledge? Allah knows you do not know. I always think the best thing to do when you don't know is just go again back to the original source and just read. Just read about it. Read over the text. Is there something unique about Abraham? In the story of Abraham and how it relates to the Messiah. You got to go look. You got to go read the source. Don't just watch a YouTube, channel kind of thing, right? But read the source. Abraham was not a Jew, nor was he a Christian, but he was a Muslim, Hanif. And if he was not one of the idolaters. Okay, so here we have a really interesting statement. Abraham was not a Jew, nor was he a Christian. He was a Muslim. Okay, really interesting. And so I'll leave that alone, but just so you might read that, we know Abraham as the father of many, right? Through Abraham comes Isaac, comes Jacob. Comes the tribes. We already read that, I think, in the second Sura of the Torah. So now we get this clarity that he's not a Jew, he's a Muslim. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Indeed, those of mankind who have the best claim to Abraham are those who follow him, and this prophet and those who believe, and Allah is the protecting guardian of the believers, a party of the people of the book long ago to make you go astray. And they make no one go astray except themselves, but they do not realize it. O people of the book, why do you disbelieve in the signs of Allah when you bear witness? O people of the book, why do you confuse the truth with falsehood and knowingly conceal the truth? And a party of the people of the book say, believe in what has been revealed to those who believe at the opening of the day and disbelieve at the end of the day in order that they may return. And only believe those who follow your religion. Say, indeed, the guidance is the guidance of Allah, that anyone is given something like that, what was given to you, or that they may argue with you in the presence of their Lord. Say, indeed, the bounty is in Allah's hands. He bestows it on whom he wills. Allah is all-embracing, all-knowing. It's kind of neat. If you're all-embracing, that means you're all-embracing. That means you embrace all. And it's interesting because the Quran is anything but all-embracing. So it's interesting. We have a God who is, quote, all-embracing and all-merciful. But yet we see that there's punishment. People that are ready are going to stoke the fires of hell. people that are going to be that are in impending doom if they don't listen to the prophet. All in the same. It's all in the same surah. So it's kind of interesting, right? All embracing. If you say someone is all embracing, that means they definitely embrace all. He selects for his mercy those who he wills. Allah is of infinite bounty. Among the people of the book, there is he who, if you trust him with a great amount of treasure, will return to you. And also among them is he who, if you trust him with a piece of gold, will not return it unless you keep standing over him. That is because they say, we have no duty to the Gentiles. They knowingly speak a lie about Allah. No, but he who fulfills his pledge and fears Allah, indeed Allah loves those who fear him. Indeed, those who purchase a small gain at the price of Allah's covenant and their oaths, they have no share in the hereafter. Allah will neither speak to them nor look at them on the day of resurrection, nor will he make them grow. Theirs will be a painful doom. Okay, so there's the painful doom part, right? So it doesn't sound very all-embracing at that point. And indeed, there is a party of them who distort the book with their tongues so that you might think what they say is from the book when it is not from the book. And they say it is from Allah when it is not from Allah. And they knowingly speak a lie about Allah. It is not for any human being to whom Allah has given the book and wisdom and the prophethood that he should afterwards have said to mankind, be slaves of me instead of Allah, but be faithful servants of the Lord because you are teaching the book and because of your constant study of it. And he did not command you to take the angels and the prophets for lords. Would he command you to disbelieve after you have become Muslims? When Allah made a covenant with the prophets, look at what I give you of the book and knowledge, and afterward a messenger will come to you confirming what you have. You will believe in him and you will help him. He said, do you agree? And you will take up my burden in this. It seems like it's a reference to Moses in the book of Deuteronomy, that there would be a prophet like Moses unto the people. It seems like that's what's being associated maybe with Muhammad. Muhammad being that prophet to come in the likeness of Moses. To him you will listen. That's what it seems like. I could have that wrong, but that's what it seems like in this section. It says, they answered, we agree. He said, then bear witness. I will be a witness to you. Then whoever turns away after this, they will be transgressors. Do they seek a religion other than the religion of Allah? Then whoever is in the heavens and on the earth submits to him willingly, unwillingly, and to him they will return. So it seems like the idea that we're getting constantly is this idea of like, you need to listen to the new revelations version of what was written before. That whatever was written before, if you don't see it in the light of the current revelation of Muhammad and of course Allah, then you are a transgressor and you are part of the liars. You are, in a sense, just continuing the lie. So it would be those that read the Hebrew Bible and believe in the Hebrew Bible and the fulfillment of the prophecies that are in the Hebrew Bible, which is the New Testament, that is the fulfillment, then you would be perpetrating a lie, continuing the lie, because you're not listening to the new prophet that's saying, hey, everything that was written down is actually distorted and wrong and corrupted. They were corruptors and they corrupted everything. And so we're gonna kind of reformat it and tell it to you like it really was, like it really is, kind of a retelling of it. But yet there's a lot to retell. If you're gonna retell, even just Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, that is a lot to tell. I mean, the Torah has a lot of theological implications in it. And so there would be a lot to retell. And I haven't seen that just yet in the Quran, a retelling of all that. But then you have all the historical books, pieces you have all of biblical archaeology that you would have to combat, all the all the findings, all the coins, all the languages that are talked about, all the kings, all the references to the kings, all the archaeology to the references to the kings that have been found, all these artifacts that have been found, all the kings of Israel. All the references to Mount Zion, all the references to Israel, all the references to Jews, all the references to the tribes. You'd have, you're talking about reformatting all that into this new way of thinking that has been, is being told to us by Allah. That's kind of what I'm getting from these sections. And that's a lot to digest. I mean, that's a heavy duty word, and it's not uncommon for different groups to make these kind of claims that everything before is wrong, mistranslated, corrupted, and that we have the new deal, the new thing. And that's why it's important to read different books, because when you read all the different sources from different religions, they start kind of sounding familiar. You start kind of picking up on these patterns of how this works. It's kind of interesting, just so you know, that Jesus never abrogated the Old Testament. He said he came to fulfill the Old Testament, never abrogated. The Old Testament is not done away with in the New Testament. It is upheld. It is the schoolmaster. It is the thing that teaches us, that shows us that we need the Messiah. So yeah, there's no abrogation in Christianity. Then whoever turns away after this, they will be transgressors. Do they seek a religion? Okay, I already read that. Say we believe in Allah and what is revealed to us, and what was revealed to Abraham and Ishmael and Isaac and Jacob and the tribes, and what was given to Moses and Jesus and the prophets from their Lord. We make no distinction between any of them, and to him we have submitted. So again, the affirmation that they agree with the Torah and they agree with the Gospels. So there's this agreement to it, but then there's this, but not according to the way you guys see it. We see it in this different way. And if you don't see it in our way, then you're wrong. So interesting. Okay. It says, and whoever seeks a religion other than Islam, it will not be accepted from him, and he will be a loser in the hereafter. Okay. So, hey, you don't become a Muslim, then you are a loser in the hereafter. So, that's kind of how it goes. So, of course, I guess you can say that from Allah's perspective, or from the words of Allah, Islam, it's Islam or that's it. If you're not Muslim, then you are a loser in the hereafter. And that is the only way to go. That's it. So we will stop on, let's see, verse 85. So we went 50 to 85 today. Man, what a reading. Again, a lot of interesting things. Hey, thanks so much for joining me, though, on the reading. I always love to, again, go to the source. It's always great to read through it. Hopefully you get a little more of an idea of the Quran as we read and we continue to read. Keep reading. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Okay? Bye-bye.